Well, now we can just add the 49ers victory to a list of things in Week 10 that we did not expect to happen. Oh my gosh. The 49ers. The freaking San Francisco 49ers take care of business with the Los Angeles Rams. Guys, I think a lot of you guys have make those prop bets or, whatever it may be on prize picks that we talk about, which actually last night I won a little bit of money picking those prop bets. But also making your predictions on the picks and against the spread as well. Did not expect this to happen where the 49ers were just completely just take care of business against the Los Angeles Rams. But ladies and gentlemen, it did. It happened. It happened, and it happened in extreme fashion where Jimmy Ward, defensive player of the game, I would say. Nick Bosa got in there as well, had a little bit of action as well. But anyways, I mean, against the Rams, the high-powered offense, Matthew Stafford, the last two games, weeks, primetime just hasn't been delivering for the LA Rams. Regardless, though, San Francisco, big victory, huge, and that's why we wanted to commemorate them with the lights in the back, red and gold. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Time2Football. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of this show that we like to call Time2Football. Glad you guys are joining us for this wonderful Tuesday morning. What do we got on tap here? Well, we're going to be talking about Week 11. We closed the chapter on Week 10. Let's move forward to Week 11. We're already way past the halfway point of the season, and now we're looking forward to the games ahead. Looking forward to Week 11. Now, we've got some news that we're going to be talking about. We've also got the Adds and Drops video that we released every Tuesday morning. We are going to cover that, just kind of give you like our brief analysis of like why you should add and drop certain players, but also we're going to be talking about some viewer questions that you guys are leaving in the comments down below on top of that as well. We also have some trade targets, so some players that you need to buy, sell, and hold in fantasy football, because Tuesdays and Fridays, like we say on this show, we always talk about fantasy football, and for Tuesday's episode, we're going to be talking about that as well. All right, so first, you guys are joining us in the chat right now as we are currently speaking. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and acknowledge some of you guys. Morning, everyone. Hey, Miguel, thank you for tuning in. J.R. Seda, for your advice always. I think you meant thank you for your advice always. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you tuning in. You also asked Patriots or Titans defense. I have not actually had a chance to look at the schedule in depth. I think I have an idea of who I want to start, but I can't really give you an explanation. I know the Patriots play the Falcons, but I haven't had a chance to look at the schedule in depth just yet. So hold off on those questions. I'm going to be dedicating a whole segment towards the end of the show where I answer your questions, but continue to leave them, and then I promise I'm going to go from top to bottom. Whoever came into this chat first, I'm going to be answering your questions first, and then we're just going to be going from there. Rob saying, aloha, good morning, y'all. Let's kill it this week. Rob, thank you for joining us. Jeff Fields also saying, keep up the great work. Drop my daily like. Hey, I appreciate you. I know that you work as well, so you kind of tune in and out of this live stream. But, I just appreciate anyways that you would just join us for this for the stream. Mike also saying, glad to see the 49ers ball like that. I got stock in them. Debo and Mitchell. Yeah, I actually have Debo Samuel has one of my picks, which is actually crazy because in my draft, I didn't know what I was doing with my draft, because my plan initially was in my main league was to draft TJ Hawkinson in the 5th round, and then someone beat me to that. And so then after that, I was like, oh my gosh, there goes my whole strategy, because I planned it out to where I was like, this player this round, this player this round, this player. And I was like, man, I need a tight end. And eventually it worked out to where I made some trades, and I eventually got Mark Andrews. But in the 8th round, I was debating on whether to get a tight end, whether to get like Dallas Goedert, whether to get Mike Gesicki. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hold off on tight end. I just want to see how the board goes. So I eventually got Laviska Shenault in the 8th round. And then someone else was available. This was an offline draft, so we could make trades and stuff like that. He came up and he said, I'm going to draft Laviska Shenault. Sorry, bro. He's already taken. But if you want him so bad, I'll trade you Laviska to you right now for the pick that you have currently right now that you're about to pick, and like a future like another draft pick later on in the draft. And he was like, okay, yeah. So I traded with him, and then eventually got Deebo Samuel through the draft. And I didn't expect anything of it. I didn't think anything of it. I honestly was thinking about Will Fuller in that spot over Deebo Samuel. But Deebo's been a nice surprise. And for you guys that had the stock in Ayuk as well, I know that this week I was getting a lot of questions about, oh, should I start Ayuk? And I was just like, let's just see one more good week out of him before we start putting him in the lineup. And I think this is going to be the trend this whole season, where it's like, okay, good week, 6 receptions, 80 yards, a touchdown. Then the next week, 2 receptions, 20 yards, no touchdown. It's going to happen like this. Deebo Samuel is going to be the main guy. Samuel is running it at running back, which is crazy. It's not crazy in theory, because I've always thought of him as a running back at a wide receiver, because the yards after the catch, he is so freaking good at that. Deebo Samuel's the main guy, and Brandon Ayuk is just left high and dry. Anyways, I'm going to get more into analysis of all these players and answer more questions later on in the show. But right now, we got to talk about NFL news and notes. What's going on right now? Hey, it's Tuesday. So people don't practice until Wednesday. That's when we learn about the injury news, because you guys are wanting to get caught up on who's going to be playing, who's not going to be playing. But the people that play on Thursday, so here's the tricky thing. It's a short week. They don't have practice on Monday. Usually each team has practices Wednesday, Thursday, Friday ahead of a Sunday or Monday game. If it's a Monday game, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's at least 3 days. Now, if it's a short week, like they play on Sunday and then they're playing again on Thursday, more than likely that they don't have 3 practices. It's only 2. It's Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So what happens on Mondays? Well, on Mondays, the league still asks each team to make a practice estimate, meaning that they don't have practice, but if they were to have practice, who would be available and who wouldn't be available. So with the Patriots and the Falcons, we have those practice estimates. And right now on the Falcons side, Cordero Patterson, it is not looking optimistic. He was listed as a non-participant on the practice estimate, meaning that even if they did practice, he wouldn't have practiced. And now Wayne Gallman, who had 15 carries for 55 yards, it seems like he's going to be the main guy that maybe takes the load. I know that Mike Davis, they signed him. They want him to be the main guy, but he just hasn't been looking good. Maybe they took Mike Davis out of the game because they wanted to rest their starters. That game was already out of hand. Whatever. But Wayne Gallman is going to get a fair share of carries. Now, is he an add to fantasy football? You may be asking yourself that. I would say no, personally. Sure, if you're a 12, 14, 16 team league, but I think it's going to be Mike Davis who's going to be the main starter moving forward if Cordero Patterson misses some time. So that's my theory on it. Wayne Gallman, sure, he's going to get some looks, but I think it's going to be Mike Davis. Now for the Patriots side, big news for them as far as their practice estimate goes. Their 2 running backs, Damian Harris and Brandon Bolden, are banged up. Brandon Bolden had a hip injury that he suffered, and he's been limited. So the practice estimate, if they did practice, then Brandon Bolden would have been a limited participant. More than likely, he's going to play against the Falcons. Just monitor his status. Now, for Damian Harris, here's the tricky thing. Now, if this game was happening on Sunday, more than likely, Damian Harris would play. With him now sitting out and this game being on Thursday and on practice estimates still hasn't cleared concussion protocol, all of a sudden, is this Ramondre Stevenson's game again to be a starter? Looked good against a good rush defense of the Cleveland Browns, and against the Falcons, can he have even more success against a not-so-good rush defense this year? Keep that in mind. Damian Harris, non-participant, monitor his status today and Wednesday, see if he is going to be playing and if he clears concussion protocol. Tevin Jenkins, okay, second-round talent, first-round talent in many people's draft boards this past NFL draft, was drafted in the second round by the Chicago Bears as a tackle. He practices for the first time since he had back surgery since the beginning of the season, so he's a very talented guy. This could help out the Bears so much. They need him against the Ravens, especially. I don't know what his odds are of playing, but returning back to practice is a good sign for the Chicago Bears. Mekhi Becton, another offensive line, had a rookie season last year, breakout rookie season, was very good for the New York Jets. He is just 1 to 3 weeks away, according to head coach Robert Saleh, from making his return with the New York Jets. He had a knee injury that he's been dealing with, and he's been out of action because of that. Cordero Patterson, again, we talked about him, ankle injury. His status is doubtful for this Thursday. More than likely, he will not be playing. Colt McCoy suffered an injury, and it was a pec strain, a pectoral strain. He was taken out of the game. But more than likely, he has a good chance of playing. He should be healthy enough for Week 11. This is according to Cliff Kingsbury. And I don't know if it's going to be Kyler Murray. I don't know if it's going to be Colt McCoy. But Colt McCoy would more than likely be active regardless. Kyler Murray has a good shot of playing this weekend. We said that last week, but he didn't play. More likely he's going to be playing. Colt McCoy is going to be backing up. CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, has a pretty good chance to play versus the Cowboys. So he was a long shot to play last week against the Raiders, but he was activated off of injured reserve, did practice in some sort of limited fashion. Now he's going to be coming back against the Cowboys. Not so much of a factor anymore with Darrell Williams having a breakout season. Tua Tagovailoa has already been announced as a starting quarterback against the New York Jets. This is per Brian Flores. He's announced that yesterday. And then the last little bit of news: Aaron Jones MCL sprain. We kind of covered it yesterday, but we didn't give an official timetable. We now know an official timetable. It's going to be 1 to 2 weeks. So not going to be placed on injured reserve. AJ Dillon is going to be handling the carries for at least the next week. And that is your NFL news and notes for today. All right, what do we got here? So this little topic bar right here might say players to add and drop this week in fantasy football. You might have already seen that video. If you haven't already seen the ads and drops video, I'm going to start coming out with them Tuesday at 6 a.m. every single week. So you guys have an early morning start. Wake up. Why'd you leave your keys on the table? You want to. You want to. You don't want to. No. Self-righteous suicide. Is that what he says? Chop suey, System of a Down. But yeah, as you guys, have a start to your day, 6 a.m. Tuesday. That's when I release the ads and drops video every single week. So you can watch that as soon as you guys wake up. Why'd you leave your keys on the tip? Okay, I'll stop. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and just browse through this, sift through this. What's the word? Scrub through this. Speaking of Scrubs, I don't think that show Scrubs that came on back in the day is funny. If there's any Scrubs fans out there, leave a comment down below and convince me otherwise, but I did not think it was that funny. All right, so let's go ahead and show you the ads and drops video. All right, I'm going to put myself in the corner right here. We got to talk over this, you know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? All right, we got the waiver wires. Let's scrub through this. All right, so now we've got Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Ryan, Justin Fields. People are forgetting about Justin Fields, so hey, he could be a guy that you could pick up and be a pretty sneaky good pickup towards the end of the season. So we'll see. He's been improving his last 2 games. Jimmy Garoppolo as well. He's been looking good. Cam Newton, I explained in the video. I just want to take a shot on him. I'm going to move myself here. I just want to go ahead and take a shot on him. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but let's just give him a chance. He's a must-sit this week against Washington. I think Ron Rivera has a whole game plan against Cam Newton. He knows how to stop Cam Newton, so he's a sit, but for the future. And then the must-drops, it's pretty self-explanatory. Baker Mayfield's on this list every single week because he's owned in over 30% of leagues every time. And I'm like, guys, we got to get rid of Baker Mayfield at this point. Mac Jones, let's just hold on a bit. Let's calm down. 19.92 fantasy points is amazing. However, he's only put up 17 fantasy points in 2 games this year. This game is not centered around Mac Jones, this team. It's centered around the defense and the run game. Mac Jones is complimentary. He's good, but how often can you get an amazing deep catch and touchdown from Kendrick Bourne like that? Not often. So let's just take it easy right there. The ads. All right, 2 players I want to really point out. Jordan Howard is kind of self-explanatory. Boston Scott, I would say, is up there as well. Maybe even Wayne Gallman in deeper leagues. Deontay Foreman and Latavius Murray. Let's start with Deontay Foreman. I wanted to add him last week. I just didn't have any room on my bench just because his stats aren't the best. But if you look at the eye test and see how they play it, like Deontay Foreman looks good. He looks really good. So I like Deontay Foreman as an ad, just as like maybe this could work out. I don't think he's going to be like a legit RB2 every single week, but maybe this could work out. He looks like the best running back right now in Tennessee. And then Latavius Murray, Rubio actually left a comment right before I went on air. I did not have the chance to reply to your comment. But Latavius Murray is an ad for us just because he's going to be the starting running back for the Baltimore Ravens once he were to get healthy, which we expect to be within the next week. Like, they had a long week to recover, so it could very well be in this game against the Chicago Bears. What else do we've got? Out of the week, Ramondre Stevenson, pretty self-explanatory. I don't really have to get into that. The drops, Trace Herman, David Johnson, J.J. Taylor, Kenneth Gainwell. Okay, he's losing some work. He's losing some big-time work to Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. They're the main guys. Kenneth Gainwell is an afterthought. Van Jefferson, Michael Gallup, and Elijah Moore are the hot ads that you got to get. Elijah Moore has been looking good, even in that tough game against the Buffalo Bills. Now, it was garbage time. He had a touchdown, and he salvaged some fantasy points for some people. But, he did have a tough matchup. But Elijah Moore is really stepping up. And this kind of goes back to training camp when he's been looking like one of the best players in OTAs. And it's finally coming into fruition that Elijah Moore is stepping up. Van Jefferson as well. Rashad Bateman has been looking good. He's taken over as a number 2 receiver over Sammy Watkins. He in his last 4 games, it was 8 targets, 8 targets, 6 targets, 6 targets. Like, he has a safe floor, so you can go with Rashad Bateman. Pretty self-explanatory on who to drop. Mecole Hardman, Curtis Samuel, Robert Woods. Jacoby Myers, again, second straight week. We got to get rid of Jacoby Myers. Guys, average. Very average this season. Below average sometimes at some points. Get rid of him. I know the targets will be there, but if he gets 6 receptions for 30 yards, at that point, it's not really worth it to keep him around. The tight ends to add, these guys have been really killing it, especially Tyler Conklin the last week. 2 touchdowns. Now, that was kind of random that he got the second touchdown, but still, like, you should add these players. Hunter Henry, goal line, 7 touchdowns in the last 7 games. Enough said. Austin Hooper, CJ Uzama, Jonnu Smith, pretty self-explanatory. Drop them. Jared Cook, again, gets serious with the team. It's a thin position, I understand, but listen, go back here. If any one of these guys are available, Tyler Conklin, Pat Frymuth, Dan Arnold, go with any one of them over Jared Cook. That's what I would do. Kickers, these guys have some pretty good matchups coming up this week, so that's why I would add them. And for the remainder of the season, Randy Bullock could be your guy. I mean, top 4 fantasy kicker. You can't go wrong with Randy Bullock. Like, he didn't even play in week 1, and he's a top 4 fantasy kicker. I guess you could count that as his bye week, but still, like, he's going to have another bye week. He's still going to be a top 10 fantasy kicker at the very least by season's end. All right, we're jumping on the Jason Myers drop train. Okay, I've been talking about Jason Myers being a drop in fantasy football since he was drafted as a top 5 fantasy kicker for some odd reason. I don't know why, because ESPN just said, like, they didn't look into the stats. They were like, oh, Jason Myers, he's going to be a top 5 fantasy kicker. Hey, guys, do some research. Look at the stats. Jason Myers is not going to be a top 5 fantasy kicker. And as a matter of fact, he went from being 99, 98% owned down to 37% owned over the course of the season. Like, people just don't care about kickers. So it was kind of a long road to get him down here to 37%. But we need to care more about kickers, guys. Jason Myers is not the way to go. Brandon McManus, okay, he was a drop this week because he has a bye week, but I did mention in that video, you got to pick him up because he got some pretty good matchups coming up. The Broncos do, actually, for the remainder of the season. Their schedule is kind of nice as far as fantasy football goes. So, Brandon McManus would be a guy that you need to pick up week 12 and beyond. And then ads of the week. These guys have some pretty good matchups. The Bears don't this week, but next week, look at their schedule, have a good matchup. Always playing your defenses a week in advance. The Carolina Panthers are looking good. They're a top 10 fantasy defense. And this game against Washington, they should be able to have a good performance. And then the Bengals, Raiders, Eagles. I know that it's like, not a lot of people own these guys. Well, I couldn't really think of another defense to drop. Like, I looked at percent owned, and I was like, you got to hold on to a lot of these defenses. But for you guys that own these defenses, you got to drop them. And the Broncos defense is a drop because they're in a string of bad matchups. It worked out against the Dallas Cowboys, but we can't expect that to happen every single week. So the Denver Broncos are a team that I would drop. Why did I say Broncos Denver instead of Denver Broncos? I don't know. But anyways, those are some ads and drops for this week. Ooh. Where are? Let me see if. Yeah, I don't know why it says starts and sits down there on the topic bar, but anyways, whatever. Okay, let's talk about trade targets now. Players that you need to buy, sell, and hold in fantasy football. What do we got here? We do this every week. We're going to give you one player to buy, one player to sell, and one player to hold in fantasy football for week 11, prior to week 11. We don't talk about kickers and defense because nobody really trades those players, those positions. So quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Those are the positions that we're going to be talking about. Quarterback buy, Kirk Cousins. I know that Kirk Cousins had a pretty decent game last week against the Chargers, so it might be a little bit tougher to buy him. His price might be a little bit higher up, but still, Kirk Cousins would be someone that I would look into if people don't value Kirk Cousins a lot. To give you a little bit of an idea on how much Kirk Cousins is valued in this league, in one of my leagues, actually two of my leagues, he was on the waivers prior to this week. And he's been shopped around. I'm pretty sure that only like maybe 3 different teams have owned him over the course of the season in some of my leagues. So that kind of shows you how people think of Kirk Cousins. So he's a quarterback 8 right now, and he's had 5 games with over 20 fantasy points. Guys, I'd buy in on Kirk Cousins if you can. If you need a quarterback, Kirk Cousins is the way to go. Let's sell on Cam Newton. Now, hey, hold on. Let's calm down a bit. Cam Newton's more than likely going to be on the waivers, but if you're able to add him over someone else and be like, listen, who wants Cam Newton? Let me trade him to you. Cam Newton's back. So ride the coattails of the hype train, and I don't think Cam Newton's going to be bad necessarily. I just think that people might be overvaluing him just a bit. So Cam Newton would be a quarterback that I would sell. And then let's hold on to Russell Wilson. I know there was a little bit of overreaction against the Green Bay Packers. That was an overreaction. Andy Bernard, The Office. But his schedule coming up is very favorable for Russell Wilson. He faces Washington, he faces Detroit, he faces Houston, he faces San Francisco. 4 games right there where he could put up a top 10 quarterback finish. So Russell Wilson would be a quarterback that I would hold. Don't give up on him just yet. Still kind of recovering from that finger. Don't worry about it. Russell Wilson should be fine. All right, running backs. Players that you need to buy. Running back buy is David Montgomery. Montgomery, however you want to say his name. He is taking over as the 3-down back over Khalil Herbert. Thank you for your service, but he has now gone back to being the RB2. The RB1 is David Montgomery. It's not going to be a split committee share. No, Matt Nagy came out and said before the Pittsburgh game, before the bye week, that David Montgomery is going to be coming back off of injured reserve. Even though we could shut him down at this game, have a bye week, and then bring him back, he's going to be even more healthy. No, like he's made enough progress. And when he comes back, he's going to get the majority of the carries. Guys, did you realize in that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, that week, week 9, he had the most percentage of running back snaps on offense out of any team that week in week 9. That's ridiculous. Off of injured reserve, off of a knee sprain, his first game back. The highest percentage. He was playing in the Wildcat. He was playing on the goal line. He was playing in the passing downs. They're going to utilize him a lot. And his schedule coming up, he's got Detroit. He's got Baltimore, which actually kind of gives up a lot of points to running backs. Green Bay is kind of stingy, but they could also let some points be scored by some running backs. And then the Giants as well. Their defense is kind of on the up, but also they've given up some points to running backs. So Montgomery, it's a player that I like in the last half, in the last stretch of this fantasy football season. David Montgomery, a player that you need to buy. Player that you need to sell. I've talked about this player a lot. I don't know what his value is now, but it's Chris Carson. I think a lot of people's opinions on Chris Carson are just dwindling down, so it's going to be a little bit tougher to sell him at this point. However, when he first got injured, I was like, oh, you got to sell Chris Carson because that neck injury, it sounds serious. And that's what it sounds like. Like Pete Carroll has come out and said, let's reevaluate his status, see if he's good to go this week. I'm not optimistic on it. I think Chris Carson is someone that you need to buy or need to sell. And even if he does come back, he's going to be in timeshare with Alex Collins and Rashad Penny. Player that you need to hold for the running back position, Kareem Hunt. He was a player that I would buy in on, and now he went from like a must-buy to like a hold because Dearness Johnson coming back and having that, those 2 games where he just looks amazing. That does hurt Kareem Hunt's value in a sense, but I think Kareem Hunt, when he does come back, he's going to come back to his traditional role. And he's going to score some touchdowns. He's going to get some yards. He's got Las Vegas, Baltimore, and Green Bay also coming up on his schedule. So Kareem Hunt is someone that I would hold. Don't panic on him just yet. Let's just wait a few more weeks until he comes back and you're ready for the fantasy football playoffs. Wide receivers, player that I would buy in around right now, Antonio Brown. There's probably an Antonio Brown owner out there that's frustrated. They looked at how many points he scored over this whole season when he's been healthy. And they're probably frustrated at that because they're like, man, just come back healthy. He was in a walking boot as well. And he's out of the walking boot, but he's still not playing. I think Antonio Brown is probably like a week or two away from coming back. So if you're in a position where you can give up a little bit of capital for Antonio Brown, his value is just a little bit low right now, so you don't have to give up that much. But Antonio Brown, if you can wait another week or two, would be a player that I would buy. Sell on Brandon Ayuk. Okay, so it sucks that I'm saying this a week after he has only like 20-something yards. But I think there's probably someone out there that's drafted Ayuk pretty high up or liked his value and was like, man, Ayuk is going to break out after his 6-reception, 80-yard game, touchdown game against or back in week 10 or week 11. What am I saying? Back in week 9, he had that breakout game, and people were like, man, Brandon Ayuk is back on the map after his breakout game. Listen, last week kind of told me that against the Rams, I don't think he's back. I think he's still back to his traditional role of doing whatever he's doing. Special teams, wide receiver 2, technically, I guess, but it's the Deebo Samuel show and George Kittle show moving forward. So Brandon Ayuk would be a player that I would sell. And then let's hold on to Odell Beckham Jr. right now. I don't know what's going to be happening with Van Jefferson there, with Robert Woods and his ACL injury. I think they're just getting him caught up to speed, still learning the playbook. Now, he got some snaps, first play of the game. They threw a pass to him, had a reception, only finished with 3 targets and 2 receptions off of that. So, yeah, Odell would be a player that I would hold right now. Let's just wait and see what happens with him. And then tight ends, player that I would buy, Dawson Knox, coming off of a 1-reception game last week against the Jets. And that's kind of expected when you face the Jets. When you face the Jets, their secondary is so bad that the wide receivers are mainly the ones that have those great outcomes and these great points. And like, for instance, Gabriel Davis, Isaiah McKenzie had all these great games. Whereas Dawson Knox, he kind of takes the backseat just because you don't really need to dump it off to the tight end. But let's not forget that before Dawson Knox got hurt, he was a top 3 fantasy tight end. So that's a player that I would buy while his value is just extremely low. Player to sell, Dalton Schultz. Again, the last 2 weeks have not been looking good. I don't know how much value you can get from Dalton Schultz, but essentially he would be a player that I would be looking to sell if there's someone out there that's really desperate for tight ends. And if you can't sell him, honestly, I would drop him. I don't think he's going to have much value moving forward. All right, player to hold. Should it be panic time for TJ Hockenson? Maybe, maybe not. Hey, let me go ahead and say this. TJ Hockenson for the rest of the season could absolutely suck. But let me ask you this. At such a thin position, when you're playing like a 10-team, 12-team, 14-team, 16-team, whatever league, are you going to be like, oh, man, I'm going to pick up another tight end and start him over TJ Hockenson? No. All the other tight ends in those leagues, not really good value. So let me ask you this. Let me just pretty much make you think about this. Who else are you going to start? Who else are you going to start? That's why I say hold on to TJ Hockenson. We know the talent is there. We know that he's proved in games where he can get a couple of touchdowns. He can get 9 to 10 targets, 11 targets. TJ Hockenson. Who else are you going to play? I'd rather take the upside of TJ Hockenson than someone off the waivers like rely on Tyler Conklin every week. I can't do that. I gotta play TJ Hockenson. So that's why I say hold on to Hockenson for now. So those are the players to buy, sell, and hold in fantasy football for the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. If you have anyone else in mind, some players, some questions, whatever it may be, leave a comment down below. and I'd be happy to interact with you guys. All right. Fan questions, viewer questions that you guys have been leaving. Oh, wow. There's a lot of people joining in right now. I like it. Okay, like I said, I'm going to go from top to bottom. Again, starts and sits. I have not had a chance to look at that. And again, guys, it's really early in the week, so you don't need an answer right now. Like, we can wait. No need to rush. So Patriots or Titans defense, I can't answer that. Mac Jones or Daniel Jones, I can't answer that. Ron Real TV, great call on flexing J-Rob over Hawk. Man, what are we going to do with him? Goff is so bad. Killing his value. Yeah, like I just said, it sucks. But who else are you going to start? Who else are you going to start? So I'll just keep Hawkinson. I'm 4-6, number 6 of 8. The number 8 guy just steamrolled me at 104 to 169. Ooh, time to get some W's. Yeah, man, let's turn it around. I mean, you're not out of playoff contention. I'm guessing in that league, top 4 make it in, and you're number 6, so you can still, given that it's a longer season, you can get 4 straight wins now and make the playoffs. So Jeff, hopefully that happens. Superflex PPR, I upgraded Herbert, Pitts, Gallup to Lamar, Mark Andrews, and T. Higgins. Your thoughts? I like it because of Lamar Jackson alone, his rushing value. And then Andrews is Andrews is a top 3 fantasy tight end. He is freaking good. So I like it a lot. Rubio. Yeah, you were asking, why is Murray on the must-add running back list? I don't know if you tuned in, but he is on the must-add list because Devontae Freeman and what's his name? Le'Veon Bell and Tyson Williams, they didn't win the starting job. It's going to be Latavius Murray that gets the majority of the carries once he comes back healthy, and he's only a week or 2 away from coming back healthy. That's why I'm like, hey, let's stash Latavius Murray for now if you need some RB depth. So that's the reason behind that. Joseph, do you feel Foreman will have more opportunity to score than Adrian Peterson? So I paid attention to this. In the red zone, Foreman was a guy. Majority of the snaps, Foreman was a guy. Now, when it got to the goal line, Foreman got in some goal line carries, but I think Mike Vrabel put in Peterson thinking like, let's give it an AP. Let's just give it an AP. This would be awesome for him to get a touchdown. And so Adrian Peterson worked in as a goal line back. Now, he had like 8 carries, 9 carries, 21 yards, whatever it is. 21 yards in 2 straight games. That's not feasible. Foreman's been looking the most impressive guy. So I'd say he has more opportunities than Adrian Peterson. Miguel, I would drop Alex Collins and try to pick up Foreman or Gallman. Also, DPJ, I would drop him and add Shepard, Brian Edwards, or Tony. What do you think? Yeah. Shepard, monitor his status. He would be my favorite to add out of all those people. Again, I'm not high on Donovan Peoples-Jones. I've never been high on Donovan Peoples-Jones. I would get rid of him and add Sterling Shepard. And then Alex Collins for Foreman. I'd rather keep Alex Collins, man. I know it's frustrating. He's not going to be an RB1, RB2 for Seattle, but he's going to be like a RB3. I would take him over Deontay Foreman. But, I mean, you do your thing, Miguel. If you want to pick someone else up, Deontay Foreman would be my choice. Or Agnew now. I'm not big on Agnew. I'm not big on any Jacksonville wide receivers except maybe Laviska Shenault just because the targets are there. He led the team in targets. There's just a disconnect with Trevor Lawrence and the accuracy. I think that eventually once they get that thing going, it's going to be Laviska Shenault who's going to emerge as the number 1 target. But 3 carries for 79 yards, like for Jamal Agnew, that's not feasible. That's not. So people are going to rush to start Agnew this week, and they might be disappointed. If Will Fuller comes back, does that mean Waddle becomes a wide receiver 2, or do they have a 50-50 split for the wide receiver 1 role? No, it's going to be Waddle that gets the majority of the receptions. That's how it is. So they played 1 game together earlier this season, and it was against the Raiders, and that overtime loss, I want to say. They lost. Will Fuller almost had a deep touchdown that, surprisingly, he got hurt during that play, but it was Waddle that was getting I think he had something ridiculous, 14 targets in that game. It was double-digit targets. So he was the PPR king, the short guy, whatever. Will Fuller was a deep threat, and he had 3 receptions for 6 targets and a drop touchdown. So I still favor Waddle over Will Fuller in this offense. Who's the top waiver wire flex this week? I'm guessing you're saying PPR. Oh man, Brett Forseth, one of our viewers, told me to sniff some salt because I got sinus stuff or whatever. Golly, I haven't done that yet, but salt, cocaine, it's all the same. You know what I'm saying? I don't do cocaine. I'm just saying. Who's the top waiver wire flex this week? Well, if Damian Harris can't go, it's Ramondre Stevenson, my guy. That's who it is. Now, who else would I say? Top waiver wire flex. Think about. All right, I got Ramondre Stevenson. Maybe Rashad Bateman against the Bears. He could be good. Van Jefferson's also good. Elijah Moore has just been killing it. I still like Michael Gallup, even though he was on track to have a very good game last week, and I've been talking highly about him. And then they just blew out the Falcons. They were like, "All right, we don't need to pass that much anymore." So Michael Gallup was out. But yeah, those are the guys. And Aaron agrees. I think it's about to be Ramondre for streaming. Yeah. Rob, you're asking a sort and sit question. I can't answer that because I haven't looked into the schedule just yet and haven't made any sort of tweaks to that. To my sort and sits list. Hi Hassan, I lost with Wilson this week from Deniz. Ooh, do I have to panic and choose another QB from the waiver wire? No. I don't know if you tune into the holds part for the quarterback trade targets, but I said to hold Russell Wilson. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. CHB, pick up Cam Newton, Deontay Foreman, and Ramondre on Friday. I'm 3 for 3. Let's go, dude. That's the way to go. I almost picked up Deontay Foreman. I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't. I probably can't pick him up this week again because I just don't have any room on my bench. But I mean, Deontay Foreman would be a guy that I would look into if you need a running back. Good morning, Hassan and T2F World. Thanks for the ads drops video. Great audio video production. Is RB Jeff Wilson droppable now from Antoine Smith? I think if you're an Elijah Mitchell owner, I would hold on to Jeff Wilson. Other than that, I mean, he had some carries. Like, their game plan was, let's run the ball down your throat. Jeff Wilson got in there for a few carries. Elijah Mitchell was the main back, yeah, but if you're an Elijah Mitchell owner, hold on to Jeff Wilson as a handcuff. If not, yeah, it's okay. You can get rid of him. And you guys are singing around to, Chop Suey by System of a Down. I love it. David, I need a QB. I traded Godwin for Terry McLaurin and Russell Wilson. I have Metcalf, Chase, Waddle. Good or bad? No, you're good. McLaurin is, I mean, I'm glad that his value is dropping because, listen, we've been talking about this with Antonio Gibson when he was our buy low candidate for the last 2 weeks prior to this week. Terry McLaurin fits on the same page. Weeks 12 through 17, that schedule, McLaurin is a guy. Now, Godwin might be better than him, but if you get Russell Wilson out of that because you need a quarterback, you're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Great show, Bubba. Marvin, thanks for tuning in. Bubba Gump. Scrubs is mid, LOL. Yeah, it's, yeah. If I see, those challenges where it's like try not to laugh, I 100% every time before I watch those videos, I'm like, I hope there's a clip from Scrubs in this. Like, I'm genuinely 100% every single time the scenario when I'm about to watch a video that says try not to laugh, I 100% think to myself, I absolutely hope that there's a clip from Scrubs in this video. That is my first thought that comes to my head. What do you think about dropping Brandon Bolden and picking up Gallman? Nah, no, don't do that. Don't rush into it. I don't know how long Cordero Patterson's going to be out for. Don't rush into it. Do not rush into that. I don't think Brandon Bolden is going to be legit for the long term. I think he's just kind of there, and that's all the Patriots have, so they're just kind of using him. But I'd rather take that than over Gallman, who he stepped in when the Falcons were being blown out. To give you guys an idea, Josh Rosen came in relief of Matt Ryan because they already knew this game was over. So don't jump the gun on Gallman just yet. You can add him, but I wouldn't drop anyone valuable. Who should I trade for? Oh man, there's a lot of questions. I think I should be able to get to you guys. I'm just gonna quickly get through it. Here real quick. I just got a notification on my phone about who got signed. Who should I trade to upgrade at wide receiver with the rest of the season schedule and production moving forward? Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, Stephon Diggs, PPR. I'd be okay with either one of those. Now, if you're trying to upgrade, I mean, go off of Stephon Diggs' hot start right there and trade him and someone else for like Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, I think, is a wide receiver that's like up there, the best wide receiver that you can have, like on a tier on his own. And then there's like everybody else, like Tyreek Hill, whoever. Like, oh no, Cooper Kupp this year has been good, but I don't think anybody's going to trade Cooper Kupp. But yeah, I mean, other than that, you have very, very good receivers. You don't really need to upgrade them. I think it's worth picking up a waiver. I'm number 2 in claim priority. You were talking earlier about the waiver claim that you're talking about. Oh, Cam, maybe? I don't know. Emerald Eye 7 Zemi with the dabs emoji. I like it. Talking about Cam. What's up, my guy? What's up, Miguel? Great content. Thanks. Quick question. Do you think I should trade Najee for Diggs, Hill, or Devontae Adams? I have CMC, Lenny, Hendo, Mitchell, and CEH. What do you think? Ooh, no. I would keep Najee because your 2 main guys should be Najee and CMC, and then you can flex Henderson / Mitchell, and you'll be completely fine. Now you have Hill and Diggs, Hill, and Devontae Adams. Dude, do you play like a 2-team league? That's a freaking crazy good lineup. But yeah, no, I no need to trade, dude. You're fine. You're fine. Would you change Devin Singletary for Matt Breida? Nah. I wouldn't jump the gun right there. Devin Singletary had a touchdown, and maybe it was a garbage time touchdown. Matt Breida was activated because of Zach Moss and his concussion. Now, Zach Moss did play, but no, it's going to be Zach Moss and Devin Singletary as the number 1, number 2. I am running out of time. All right, I got to answer one more. I'm sorry, guys. I know that you guys just joined in, but let me see who I haven't answered yet or given any love to. Daniel Orton, I traded Antonio Gibson for Myles Gaskin. I don't regret it. What do you think? So I have Antonio Gibson and Miles Sanders on my team, and I'm trying to get rid of Miles Sanders. Or not Miles Sanders. Myles Gaskin. Sorry. Okay, so you traded Antonio Gibson for Myles Gaskin. I have both. I have Gibson and Myles Gaskin. I'm trying to get rid of Gaskin, dude. His schedule is good, but Malcolm Brown, man, I don't know when he's going to be coming back. I don't know if it's going to be this week. I don't know. And that offensive line is not that good. Now, his production should be better with Tua there. He almost scored a touchdown with the Baltimore Ravens. But Antonio Gibson, I've been talking about him being a buy low in Week 9 and in Week 10. I was like, this is my running back buy low of the week, Antonio Gibson. And people were like, what are you talking about? Antonio Gibson sucks. Like, he's not been you guys are looking through the lens of him being a second-round pick that you picked him to be, that you thought he was going to be the Christian McCaffrey of the Washington football team. I picked him as the number 8th player overall in my draft. Do I regret it? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I thought he was going to be, because according to offseason reports on how he's been looking at OTAs, I thought he was going to be the Christian McCaffrey for the Washington football team. But guess who was second on my list right after Antonio Gibson, if Antonio Gibson was taken? It was Jonathan Taylor. And I should have drafted Jonathan Taylor. So that's my biggest regret. But now, I've holded on to this long. I'm 7-3 in my league. So it didn't really burn me too much that I got Antonio Gibson. And I look at the rest of the season schedule. I look at how he performed against the best run defense in the NFL, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I look at weeks 12 through 17. and the schedule that Antonio Gibson has, yeah, I'm confident that Antonio Gibson is going to maybe not necessarily win some leagues, but he'll be a feasible RB2 the rest of the way. I'm confident in that. So, to answer your question, I'd rather take Antonio Gibson over Myles Gaskin. That's just my thoughts. Okay, I have been going on for a little bit too long. I apologize if I haven't had a chance, Hassan, English, to answer your questions. But I encourage you guys to continue leaving your comments in the starts and sits that I'm going to be coming out with tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., and the adds and drops that I came out with earlier this morning. Trade targets video is also going to be splitting up and coming out later today. With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like, subscribe, do all that, and remember, wake up! Why'd you leave your kids on the table?